Hey, did you know there's a saying in NFL circles? Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. Not careers, not dreams, quarterbacks. Since the Chicago Bears last won the Super Bowl in 1985, nearly 40 years ago, they've started 45 different quarterbacks. 45. In that same time frame, their division rival, the Green Bay Packers, have started exactly 8. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers went on to become MVPs. The Bears are the only franchise in the NFL that have never had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards in a season. And they're the only team that's never had a QB throw 30 touchdowns in a season. But here's the question that haunts every Bears fan. Were the quarterbacks really the problem? Or is there something fundamentally broken in Chicago that would have ruined any quarterback? Today, we're going to answer that question. And the answer is, complicated. Act 1, the numbers don't lie. Let's start with the brutal facts. Since 2000, just in the 21st century, the Chicago Bears have had 29 different starting quarterbacks. That's more than one new starter per year for a quarter century. The list reads like a graveyard. Cade McCown, Shane Matthews, Jim Miller, Chris Chandler, Cordell Stewart, Craig Krenzel, Chad Hutchinson, Jonathan Quinn, Rex Grossman, Kyle Orton, Brian Greasy, Caleb Haney, Jason Campbell, Josh McCown, Jay Cutler, Jimmy Clausen, Matt Barkley, Mike Glennon, Mitchell Trubisky, Chase Daniel, Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, Trevor Siemian, Nathan Peterman, PJ Walker, Tyson Bagent, and now Caleb Williams. Did you catch all of those? Don't worry, neither did most Bears fans. Some of them started one game, some started half a season. A couple actually stuck around for a little while. But here's what's truly staggering. Of those 29 quarterbacks, only one, Mitchell Trubisky, has made a Pro Bowl while wearing a Bears uniform in the 21st century. One. And Trubisky made it in 2018 when the Bears went 12-4, mostly because of their defense. The Bears haven't won a playoff game since January 16th, 2011. That's over 14 years ago. The quarterback that day, Jay Cutler, who threw for 274 yards in a win over Seattle before getting injured in the NFC Championship game the next week. Since the 1985 Super Bowl, the Bears rank 30th out of 32 teams in passer rating. They've been almost perfectly mediocre in wins and losses, 17th out of 32 teams. But when it comes to passing offense, dead last in the NFL. Only Jim McMahon, the quarterback of that 1985 championship team, has made a Pro Bowl for Chicago as a quarterback since the 1980s. That's one Pro Bowl quarterback in 40 years. But let's zoom in on the question everyone asks. Did they draft badly? Or did they just fail to develop the talent they had? The answer is both, spectacularly. Act 2, the draft disasters. Let's talk about 2005 first. The Bears had the 4th overall pick in the NFL draft. Quarterback was a massive need. They'd been cycling through Rex Grossman, Jonathan Quinn, Craig Krenzel, Chad Hutchinson the year before, and not one of them was the answer. On the board, a quarterback from California named Aaron Rodgers, who had been projected to go number 1 overall before sliding down the draft. The Bears selected Cedric Benson, a running back from Texas. Aaron Rodgers fell to pick number 24, where he was selected by, the Green Bay Packers. Rodgers went on to win 2 MVP awards, a Super Bowl, and become one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. Cedric Benson lasted 3 mediocre seasons with the Bears before being released. Now, to be fair, lots of teams passed on Rodgers. The 49ers took Alex Smith. The Dolphins took Ronnie Brown. It wasn't just Chicago, but it set a pattern. 2012, Russell Wilson. The Bears had multiple picks in that draft. Wilson went in the 3rd round, pick 75. The Bears could have had him. Instead, they selected Alshon Jeffrey, who was actually good, in the 2nd round and nobody of consequence later. Wilson, of course, went to Seattle, won a Super Bowl, made 9 Pro Bowls, and became a franchise quarterback. 2014, Derek Carr. The Bears selected Kyle Fuller, 14th overall, a decent cornerback, while Carr went 36th to the Raiders. In the 6th round, the Bears took quarterback David Fales. You've never heard of him because he never played a meaningful snap. Carr went on to a solid career with multiple Pro Bowl appearances, but the real disaster, the one that will haunt Chicago forever, happened in 2017. The Mahomes mistake. Going into the 2017 draft, the Bears held the 3rd overall pick. 3 quarterbacks were considered first-round talents: Mitchell Trubisky from North Carolina, Deshaun Watson from Clemson, and Patrick Mahomes from Texas Tech. Trubisky had only started 1 season in college, 13 games total. He threw 572 career passes. Watson had led Clemson to a national championship, throwing 1,207 career passes and beat an NFL-caliber Alabama defense in the title game. Mahomes threw 1,349 career passes at Texas Tech and had the strongest arm in the class, though he played in a spread offense that made scouts nervous about his pro readiness. The Bears GM, Ryan Pace, became obsessed with Trubisky, like an online girlfriend. According to reports, he scouted him heavily and became magnetized to him. Pace wasn't bothered that Trubisky only started 1 year or that he lacked the production of Watson and Mahomes. He saw something in Trubisky's mechanics, his demeanor, his potential. Here's the kicker. Pace was so afraid someone else would take Trubisky that he traded up from the 3rd pick to the 2nd pick. He gave the San Francisco 49ers 2 third-round picks and a 4th-round pick just to move up 1 spot. The 49ers likely weren't taking a quarterback. They just signed Brian Hoyer and were looking at defense. Trubisky probably would have been there at number 3, but Pace panicked and the Bears selected Mitchell Trubisky 2nd overall. Patrick Mahomes went 10th to the Kansas City Chiefs. Deshaun Watson went 12th to the Houston Texans. And here's the truly painful part. Then Bears head coach John Fox didn't find out until the morning of the draft that Pace planned to take a quarterback. According to sources, Fox's choice among the quarterbacks was Watson 1st, Mahomes 2nd, and Trubisky 3rd. Fox didn't even want to draft a quarterback at all. He wanted LSU safety Jamal Adams. But Pace had final say. Trubisky started from the Bears from 2017 to 2020, going 29 and 21 as a starter. That sounds okay, right? I mean, not too bad. Except the Bears had the number 1 ranked defense in 2018 when they went 12 and 4. The offense failed to score more than 1 touchdown in both of Trubisky's playoff starts. His accuracy was inconsistent. His decision-making was pretty shaky. By 2020, he was benched. The Bears declined his 5th-year option and he left to become a backup in Buffalo. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes won the MVP award in his first full season as a starter in 2018. He's now a 2-time MVP, 3-time Super Bowl champion, and widely considered one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history before he even turns 30. Deshaun Watson made 3 Pro Bowls and was one of the league's elite young quarterbacks before legal issues derailed his career. Pace was fired in 2022. The decision to draft Trubisky over Mahomes and Watson may be the worst draft decision in modern NFL history. Act 3. But were the QBs really that bad? So, okay, the Bears made bad draft picks, but did the guys they draft really actually fail everywhere, or did they get better after leaving Chicago? Let's look at the evidence. Kyle Orton, drafted in the 4th round in 2005, Orton went 21 and 11 as a Bears starter over 3 seasons. That's a 65% winning percentage. He wasn't flashy. He threw for 30 touchdowns total, but the team won games when he played. In 2009, the Bears traded Orton to Denver as part of a package to get Jay Cutler. In Denver, Orton had his best statistical season, leading the Broncos to a surprising 6-0 start in 2009. He threw for 3,802 yards and 21 touchdowns, career highs in both categories. Over 3 seasons with Denver, he averaged over 3,600 yards per season. So yes, Orton got better after leaving Chicago. Not superstar better, but noticeably better. Josh McCown. The journeyman played for the Bears from 2011 to 2013, primarily as a backup. In 2013, when Jay Cutler got injured, McCown stepped in and had the best stretch of his career. In 5 starts that season, he threw for 1,829 yards, 13 touchdowns, and just 1 interception with a 109 passer rating. 3rd best in the entire NFL, only behind Peyton Manning and Nick Foles. McCown was 37 years old at the time. The question everyone asked, why wasn't he starting? The defense from then GM Jerry Angelo, Jay Cutler was the franchise quarterback they traded multiple first-round picks for. You couldn't bench him for a 37-year-old backup, even if the 37-year-old was playing better. McCown went on to start for Tampa Bay, Cleveland, and the Jets after leaving Chicago, and while he was never elite, he was consistently better than his reputation suggested. Mitchell Trubisky. This one's tricky. Trubisky left Chicago and didn't exactly light the world on fire. He was a backup in Buffalo in 2021 and then started 7 games for Pittsburgh in 2022, going 3-4 as a starter with middling stats. He's back to being a backup now, so no, Trubisky didn't get dramatically better after leaving. He holds the Bears franchise records for completion percentage, 64%, and passer rating, 87.2%, which tells you more about Bears history than about Trubisky. Justin Fields. Now, this one is interesting. Fields was traded to Pittsburgh in 2024 after 3 seasons in Chicago where he went 10-28 as a starter. The Bears gave up on him to draft Caleb Williams first overall. In Pittsburgh, Fields went 4-2 in 6 starts before being benched for Russell Wilson. His stats weren't dramatically different from Chicago. He completed 73.3% of passes, but averaged only 172.7 passing yards per game. His rushing ability was still his calling card with 289 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. But here's what's telling. Multiple reports said Fields looked more confident in Pittsburgh. The coaching staff designed plays around his strengths. The offensive line gave him better protection. The play calling was more creative. He didn't become Patrick Mahomes, but he went from looking lost in Chicago to looking competent in Pittsburgh. In 2025, the New York Jets signed him to a 2-year, $40 million contract to be their starter. The pattern here is clear. These quarterbacks weren't all secretly elite talents being held back, but several of them performed noticeably better in different systems with better coaching and support. Which brings us to the real culprit. Act 4, the coaching carousel from hell. If you want to understand why the Bears can't develop quarterbacks, you need to understand one simple fact. Since 2000, just 25 years, the Chicago Bears have had 13 different offensive coordinators. 13. Only 2 of them lasted more than 2 seasons. John Shoup from 2001 to 2003 and Ron Turner from 2005 to 2009. Let me repeat that. In 25 years, only 2 offensive coordinators lasted longer than 2 seasons, and both of them were mediocre at best. Here's the complete list of offensive coordinators since 2000. Gary Crowton, John Shoup, Terry Shea, Ron Turner, Mike Martz, Mike Tice, Aaron Kromer, Adam Gase, Dowell Logains, Mark Helfrich, Chuck Pagano, Matt Nagy, Luke Gacey, Shane Waldron, Thomas Brown, and Declan Doyle. That's 16 different people responsible for the offense in 25 years if you count mid-season changes. Think about what that means for a quarterback in development. If you're a young quarterback, you're constantly learning new systems, new terminology, new philosophies. Just when you start to get comfortable, boom, a new coordinator, start over. Compare that to Patrick Mahomes, who has had Andy Reid in the same offensive system his entire career, or Aaron Rodgers, who played in the same system for over a decade in Green Bay, or Tom Brady, who had the same offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels for most of his Patriots career. Stability, it matters, and the Bears, they have none of it. But it gets worse. The head coaching situation has been almost as chaotic. Since 2000, Dick, Geron, Lovie Smith, Mark Trestman, John Fox, Matt Nagy, Matt Eberflus, Thomas Brown, and now Ben Johnson. That's 7 different head coaches, 8 if you count the interim, in 25 years. Each one brought in their own coordinators. Each one had their own offensive philosophy. Each one wanted their guy at quarterback. The result? Complete chaos. There's a famous story about Sid Gilman, one of the greatest offensive minds in football history. The Bears hired him as an offensive coordinator in 1977, Walter Payton's greatest season. And head coach Jack Party took away Gilman's play-calling duties. It's like hiring a chef and not letting him cook. I was hired to come in and control the offense, but the way it was finally resolved, I had no control over it on game day, Gilman said after the season. That just kind of completely turned me off. Yeah, I bet it did. Only in Chicago. Act 5, the talent around them. But maybe it wasn't just coaching. What about the talent surrounding these quarterbacks? This is where it also gets complicated because the Bears have been good at developing other positions. Their defenses have been historically great at times. They've had excellent running backs, good offensive lines in certain eras, and occasionally talented receivers. But here's the problem. They've rarely had all of those things at the same time when they were developing a quarterback. Rex Grossman in 2006 had the number 2 ranked defense, but his top receiver was Mohsen Muhammad, who was 33 years old and way past his prime. Jay Cutler, the franchise's all-time passing leader with 23,443 yards and 154 touchdowns over 8 seasons, had Matt Forte at running back, and eventually Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey at receiver. That's solid, but the offensive line was inconsistent, the play calling was questionable, and Cutler dealt with constant coordinator changes. Mitchell Trubisky in 2018 had the #1 defense in football, Allen Robinson at receiver, and a solid running game. But the offense was still predictable and conservative. When the Bears made the playoffs, they scored only 15 points in a loss to Philadelphia. The next playoff appearance in 2020, 21 points and a loss to New Orleans. Justin Fields had arguably the worst situation of any modern Bears quarterback. In his first 2 seasons, his receiving core was called the worst in football by multiple analysts. The offensive line was porous. The play calling was prehistoric. Fields was running for his life on seemingly every play. By the time the Bears finally gave him some weapons, drafting Rome Odunze and trading for Keenan Allen to pair with DJ Moore, they'd already decided to draft Caleb Williams and move on. Now Williams, as a rookie in 2024, has one of the best supporting casts in recent Bears memory. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze at receiver, plus Cole Kmet at tight end and DeAndre Swift at running back. But guess what? Shane Waldron, his first offensive coordinator, was so bad the Bears fired him after 9 games when the offense went 23 straight drives without scoring a touchdown. So Caleb Williams, the first overall pick, the generational talent, dealt with the same chaos every other Bears quarterback has dealt with: coaching instability and questionable play calling. Act 6, the verdict. So let's answer the question, were the quarterbacks really the problem? The answer is, it's both, but mostly the organization. Did the Bears draft badly? Absolutely. Passing on Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, and especially Patrick Mahomes were catastrophic mistakes. Trading up to take Trubisky over Mahomes and Watson might be the single worst draft decision in modern NFL history. But even when they did draft talented players or signed competent veterans, they systematically failed to develop them or put them in positions to succeed. Kyle Orton had a 65% winning percentage with the Bears and then put up better stats in Denver. Josh McCown had one of the best QB performances in the entire NFL in 2013 and wasn't given a chance to start. Justin Fields showed improvement but was playing with practice squad level receivers and a coordinator who couldn't scheme his way out of a paper bag. The organizational problems are clear. 1. Coaching instability. 13 offensive coordinators in 25 years means no quarterback can develop in a consistent system. 2. Poor talent evaluation. They have repeatedly passed on elite quarterback prospects while reaching for lesser talents. 3. Bad development. When they do get talented QBs, they don't give them the support, the weapons, or the coaching they need. 4. There's organizational dysfunction. Head coaches and GMs don't communicate. John Fox found this out the hard way on draft day when he got the word about Trubisky. Coordinators get fired constantly, and there's no long-term plan. The Green Bay Packers, Chicago's hated rival, has had Hall of Fame quarterbacks in 30 years. Favre, Rodgers, and likely Jordan Love. They'll develop QBs by sitting them, teaching them, and giving them stability. The Bears draft QBs, throw them in immediately into chaos, change coordinators every 2 years, give them terrible supporting casts, and then blame the quarterback when it doesn't work. Would Patrick Mahomes have been Patrick Mahomes if the Bears drafted him? Honestly, probably not. Mahomes sat for a year behind Alex Smith, learned from Andy Reid, one of the greatest offensive minds ever, and then got to operate in the same system for his entire career. In Chicago, he would have probably had 3 different coordinators by year 3, been blamed for losses despite a bad offensive line, and probably been deemed a bust before his rookie contract ended. Here's the most Bears stat of all. In 2024, Caleb Williams became the first Bears rookie quarterback to throw 8 touchdown passes in his first 6 games. The Bears rookie record had stood since 1942, 82 years, when Charlie O'Rourke threw 11 touchdowns in his rookie year. That's how bad it's been. A rookie in 1942 held the Bears rookie TD record until 2024. Well, the curse might have finally been broken. Williams has had a great supporting cast. Ben Johnson, one of the NFL's best offensive minds, coming from the NFL's best team, the Detroit Lions, as his head coach, and Declan Doyle calling plays. Or maybe in 3 years, Johnson will be fired, Doyle will be replaced, and Williams will be traded to another team where he'll suddenly look competent. Because that's what the Chicago Bears do. They take quarterbacks, good ones, bad ones, mediocre ones, and then they shoot them up and spit them out and move on to the next one. 45 quarterbacks since 1985, 1 playoff win since 2011, 0 4,000-yard passers in franchise history. The question isn't whether the Bears can find the right quarterback. The question is whether the Bears can become the right organization for any quarterback to succeed in. After 40 years of evidence, the answer is we're still waiting to find out.